Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Chris Krafsick, and I'm Research Director in North America at Gambling Compliance. And my employer is headquartered in London and Washington, D.C., and we provide independent business intelligence to over 300 clients in and associated with the global gaming industry. Thank you very much to you, and thank you very much to the committee staff for inviting me to testify here today. I wanted to start by offering a brief update on recent U.S. internet gaming legislative activity, as well as our thoughts on where and when internet gaming is likely to expand. U.S. internet gaming, as my fellow panelists have testified, remains in its infancy. Between 2008 and 2013, the number of states considering legislation that would legalize internet gaming or internet poker only increased from 2 to 10. That increase was driven largely by the state budget deficit crisis, which arose during and continued after the Great Recession, as well as the reinterpretation of the Wire Act that Stephen mentioned. Since 2013, the number of states considering legislation that would authorize internet gaming or internet poker only has settled at between 9 and 10 annually. Of note, California has considered legislation that would authorize internet gaming or internet poker only in each year since 2008. Taking a broader historic view, in the 2001 to 2015 year-to-date period, approximately 16 states have considered legislation that would authorize internet gaming or internet poker only. In that 15-year span, only Nevada in 2001, the U.S. Virgin Islands in 2001, Delaware in 2012, and New Jersey in 2013 have enacted such legislation. The four jurisdictions just mentioned form what we call Wave 1 of internet gaming legalization in the U.S. In the 2015 to 2020 period, we expect there will be 2 additional waves of such legalization. In the 2015 to 2017 period, or Wave 2, we expect at least one of California, Pennsylvania, and or New York to legalize internet gaming or internet poker only. In the 2018 to 2020 period, or Wave 3, we expect at least one of Rhode Island, Connecticut, Ohio, or Illinois to legalize internet gaming or internet poker only. Overall, internet gaming expansion, although very difficult to forecast, is expected to proceed incrementally and remain concentrated in the northeastern and mid-Atlantic regions. Further, in the 2015 to 2016 period, we view legislative action at the federal level, as Stephen described, as a very unlikely event. Further action at the federal level beyond that period, whether it pertains to internet gaming prohibition or internet gaming legalization, very difficult to forecast, though unlikely in our view. Turning now to our general market update. From a revenue perspective, U.S. internet gaming is in its very early stages. In 2014, national internet gaming revenue, that is the amount of revenue generated from internet gaming activity in the 3 states where such gaming is operational, was approximately $135 million, with New Jersey accounting for roughly 91% of the national total. In 2015, we expect national internet gaming revenue to rise to approximately $160 million, driven primarily by a 19% year-over-year increase in New Jersey internet gaming revenue. From a California-only perspective, we expect the state's internet poker market to generate revenue of $217 million in its first full year of operation, rising to $366 million in its 4th full year of operation. Our base case estimates, and those being the sort of middle-of-the-road estimates, assume that California will not be as severely impacted by payment processing issues as New Jersey, but that such issues will serve as a significant drag on the market size in year 1 before partially alleviating over time. Now, to put those figures in a California-relevant context, we expect California internet poker revenue, even at the market maturity phase, to make up less than 5% of the state's overall gaming revenue mix, given that the state's Native American gaming partners alone currently generate roughly $7 billion in gaming revenue annually. We and others, most recently OnlinePokerReport.com, have noted that the estimates for California internet poker revenue vary and quite widely. For context, our revenue estimate for the first full year of operations, which again is $217 million, falls on the more conservative end of the forecasting spectrum, which spans from $210 million to $729 million. Likewise, our revenue estimate for the market maturity phase, set at $366 million, again falls on the lower end of the forecasting spectrum, which spans $263 million all the way up to $1.3 billion. At present, the consensus year one revenue range appears to span from $200 million to $230 million, while the consensus market maturity revenue range appears to span from $300 million to $360 million. Now, using our base case or middle-of-the-road Internet Poker revenue estimate and applying a 7% tax rate to that estimate, California would capture Internet Poker tax revenue of between $14 million and $18 million in the market's first full year of operation, rising to between $24 million and $28 million by its fourth full year of operation. Of note, that tax revenue range, which again is between $14 million and $28 million, does not include one-time or recurring licensing or other fees that may be enacted as part of a future Internet Poker statute. For perspective, and as some of the panelists here have already noted, U.S. states have implemented or proposed varying tax rates for Internet gaming revenue. Of those that have legalized Internet gaming, the U.S. Virgin Islands has set the lowest tax rate at 1.5%, while Delaware, at 56.5%, has set the highest. Further, of those that have considered Internet gaming legalization, California has proposed among the lowest tax rates, an effective 6.75% under pending legislation, while Pennsylvania, at an effective 32% under pending legislation, has proposed the highest. To sum up, in the 2001 to 2015 year-to-date period, approximately 16 states have considered legislation that would authorize Internet gaming or Internet poker only. In the 2015 to 2017 period, we expect at least one of California, Pennsylvania, or New York to legalize Internet gaming or Internet poker only. Further, in the 2018 to 2020 period, we expect at least one of Rhode Island, Connecticut, Ohio, or Illinois to legalize Internet gaming or Internet poker only. In 2014, national Internet gaming revenue, that is revenue that excludes California, was approximately $135 million. In 2015, we expect national revenue, driven mainly by revenue increases in New Jersey, to rise to $160 million. In a base case or middle-of-the-road scenario, we expect the California Internet poker market to generate estimated revenue of $217 million in its first full year, rising to $366 million in its fourth full year. Using our base case Internet poker revenue estimates and applying a 7% tax rate to those estimates, California would capture Internet poker tax revenue of between $14 million and $18 million in the market's first full year, and between $24 million and $28 million in its fourth full year of operations. That concludes my testimony, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the first panel. If there are any questions that any of the members have for the panel? Okay, well, that being said, thank you guys very much for your time and valuable information. We can move on to the next panel, Regulated Online Gaming, with Michael J. Pollack, Managing Director for Spectrum Gaming Group, Anna Sainsbury, Chief Executive Officer for GeoComply, and Craig Abrahams, Chief Financial Officer, Caesars Interactive Entertainment. And as soon as you're settled down, you may proceed. We can start with, just according to the agenda, Michael J. Pollack can start out, I guess.
Illumination on what has occurred in those states that have pioneered online gaming, and to suggest what can occur in California if online poker is authorized based on that experience. Now, the lessons to be learned are not always obvious, and many are subject to misinterpretation. For example, the conventional wisdom is that the results to date from online gaming, and online poker in particular, have been nothing to write home about. That depends on what you call home. Now, Spectrum Gaming Group is based in New Jersey, and that's our geographic home. But in a metaphorical sense, we live at the intersection of regulation and public policy. That's the core of our life's work, and we have served numerous national, state, and territorial governments as they endeavor to develop the right policies that will advance the interests of their citizens. Now, from the standpoint of public policy, I will challenge the conventional wisdom and suggest that online gaming in the United States to date has been a very real success story. The core regulatory goals, from ensuring geolocation to preventing minors from gambling to ensuring the integrity of online gaming, have been met. Now, from a market standpoint, the experience to date can also be deemed successful. The adults who venture online to make wagers are overwhelmingly adults who have historically not ventured into land-based gaming facilities. Market leaders report that 70% to 80% of the adults who play on their online sites were new to their databases. Now, I cannot overemphasize the importance of that observation. Brick-and-mortar gaming facilities are slowly but surely losing their visitor base. As baby boomers age, they are not being replaced by the millennials and other younger demographics. Online gaming can reach a younger demographic, and if positioned correctly, can allow brick-and-mortar operators to market effectively to that younger demographic with the intent of encouraging visits to brick-and-mortar properties. So with that in mind, I suggest that a new piece of conventional wisdom is beginning to take hold in the U.S. Online gaming can best advance public policy if it is structured and designed primarily to encourage land-based visits rather than simply as a source of revenue. Now, our core thesis at Spectrum Gaming Group is that technology changes, but human nature does not. Online poker players and other online gamblers will still want to play in brick-and-mortar facilities, and online poker can be expected to generate more revenue and advance more public policies when it is tied to those brick-and-mortar facilities in California where the true interactive gaming experience takes place. So if successful, online poker would generate more physical visits to casinos, card rooms, and tracks that in turn would generate more employment. If it is highly successful, that increased visitation would lead to more capital investment by gaming operators to increase the attractiveness of their facilities. That in turn would lead to even more employment and economic activity. Now, by virtue of its sheer size, California is its own rather large petri dish. What has occurred in smaller states may not necessarily be duplicated here. I note, for example, that online poker is a small and declining part of overall online revenue in New Jersey. But New Jersey is far less populous than California and thus has far less liquidity. So the core question to be asked is, if the California legislature does elect to authorize online poker, how will success be measured? I suggest there should be three different yardsticks. One, how much revenue will be generated directly by online poker? Two, how successful operators are in converting new online customers into brick-and-mortar customers? And three, whether California can meet its necessary stated goals of ensuring that online poker adheres to universal standards of effective regulation. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Anna Sainsbury, go ahead and proceed.
Thank you. And thank you, committee members, for having me here today. I'm Anna Sainsbury, CEO and founder of GeoComply. We are a geolocation compliance solutions provider to operators that are licensed and operating currently in Nevada, New Jersey, and Delaware. We're currently processing 5.5 million transactions every month, and therefore scrutinizing those transactions to make sure that eligible players would only exist in the licensed states. Our software is also downloaded on 100 million different devices, so it has proven that it has been useful and can accurately locate users to ensure compliance. In addition, I think it's important for me to point out that all of the past states that are regulating in the U.S. environment do require us to be tested and verified by both state laboratories and independent testing companies. So I brought a map here today to help us visualize what geolocation looks like in the market at the moment. These are real-time transactions coming through our system from all of these states in which we operate. So you can see there's some red dots, players that are trying to access a gaming site in one of the 3 existing states. And then the blue and white dots that you can see here are players that are currently passing in the permitted states. So I think it's important for us to outline that a geolocation company needs to understand that when they're ensuring location compliance, that they need to ensure the compliance to federal regulations such as UEGA, which we were talking about previously, but also the different state regulations, including states that choose to opt out, such as Utah and California at this present time, and states that decide to opt in, such as Delaware, Nevada, and New Jersey. In addition, geolocation compliance solutions can assist regulators and operators when states decide to offer a state compact. So, for instance, we are working with both Delaware and Nevada, as they have a shared liquidity system. So, in terms of successful ways to offer geolocation and ensure compliance, we really see that there are 4 different key areas to look at. The first being, and I will show you why, is pinpoint accurate data. So, as the U.S. is heavily populated, 90% of players are going to be most likely living from 1 mile of a state or country border. Pinpoint accurate data should be relied upon when you're locating users online. The next thing that is really critical is to ensure sufficient fraud detection software. So you need to ensure that that accurate location data is scrutinized and the player is not using VPNs, proxies, anonymizers, mock GPS software, and all the other different solutions that are currently coming out that allow users to mask their location on any given device. The third is it's important that an operator and the regulator consider different geolocation practices for each different device type. So, for instance, in New Jersey, they have different interval checks. So if a computer is not mobile, then you would have a less frequent check, but you would ultimately continue to verify that the user didn't leave the permitted state and cross a border, like over to New York here. On a mobile device, these checks need to be more frequent because you need to understand that a user could be on a train commuting from New Jersey into New York whilst playing a game of poker. So systems can be put in place where you track the user's first location and then track the amount of time it would take them to get to the border and ensure that your geolocation frequency is more frequent than when the user would cross the border. These systems, however, have been in place since 2013 and have been successfully protecting the California borders since these jurisdictions went live. The fourth point that I would point out is that it is important to have sufficient testing prior to any launch. Geolocation should always be scrutinized, technologies are constantly changing, and databases should be consistently updating. So in conclusion, since 2013, we haven't had any hiccups. Borders have been successfully protected. Players are able to be accurately located and get on sites if they are in the state that they're permitted to play in. And so I don't foresee any troubles as long as a sufficient location product is deployed in California. Thank you.
Great, thank you for your testimony. If we could move to Craig Abrahams.
Thank you, committee members. My name is Craig Abrams, President and Chief Financial Officer of Caesars Interactive Entertainment. We're a leading online gaming company that is also the owner of the World Series of Poker. Over the last 2 years, we've operated online poker and online casino sites in both Nevada and New Jersey. Since 2001, our parent company, Caesars Entertainment, has also had the privilege to manage Harrah's Resort Southern California alongside the Rincon Tribe, who will also be our partner here in California for online poker. Internet gaming is happening here today in California by illegal offshore operators. Simply, we're suggesting that California regulate and tax this business because prohibition simply does not work. Today, with an internet connection on your PC or phone, you can play online casino games, poker, bingo, or sports bet quite easily today. It just takes an illegal site like Lock Poker to basically take consumer funds and not allow those consumers to pay out those funds, and not any player has been paid out in over a year, amounting to over $1 million. Nevada, Delaware, and New Jersey have shown that online gaming can be properly regulated, making it safe and fair, not allowing underage gamblers, offering protections for problem gamblers, and contributing tax revenues to the state of California. Despite rhetoric from some, it is theory that kids are getting on these sites. There's ample evidence from operations in Nevada, New Jersey, and Delaware that children are not getting unregulated online gaming sites. Implementing online gaming is good for the bricks and mortar casino business as well, as we've seen operating over the last 2 years. It allows the business to stay in touch with customers when not visiting a casino. There's no evidence that online gambling cannibalizes bricks and mortar online gaming. It's actually quite the contrary. Online gaming encourages new and inactive customers to come and visit casinos. In New Jersey, during our first 14 months of operations, we've seen that over 80% of online customers are new to the casinos. In addition, we've seen that 15% of our customers have not visited the casinos in the last 2 years and were inactive. So that online gaming has actually been a quite effective tool to not only increase visitation with new consumers, but reactivating inactive players through the sites. Regulatory oversight all starts with the customer registration process. We believe a robust registration process ensures that not only the right people get on the site, people of age, people that are not problem gamblers that have self-excluded, and it all starts, as Anna said, with geolocation technology to ensure that the player is playing physically located in the state that they say they are, and also including anti-spoofing technology to ensure that. We then run the names through a sanctions check to ensure that no bad actors are playing, and we know our customers are who they say they are and confirm through the financial institutions they engage in. We ensure that no problem gamblers are playing by running the names through self-exclusion lists. Using information such as date of birth, name, address, social security number, we leverage age and ID technology to ensure that in real time, the person trying to register is indeed who they say they are, and then they are the necessary age to gamble. Throughout the process, if there's any abnormalities, the registration process is halted, not allowing the player to register online or play any game until all abnormalities are investigated and confirmed. One common myth with online poker is that there's fraud and collusion amongst players to rig games. Through the sophisticated technology that monitors play, the ability to track every hand in every game, these fears are unfounded. All you need to do is speak to Nevada, New Jersey, or Delaware regulators to confirm this fact. Another common myth is that online gaming is ripe for money laundering. There is no empirical evidence that online gaming fosters money laundering. In fact, all transactions and bets are recorded. Technology monitors all unusual activity and deposit and cash out patterns, and there are restrictions on the ability to deposit and then cash out without playing online poker. Any suspicious activity reports are then filed if anything unusual occurs. We take responsible gaming very seriously as well. As with all activities, there are people that should not overindulge and gamble when they should not. Like bricks and mortar, online providers want only players to play poker for online entertainment purposes and do not want problem gamblers to play. Technology allows players to set limits on their play, both time limits and cooling off periods, and perfect monitoring of all players that have self-excluded. Despite rhetoric to the contrary, there is no empirical evidence that problem gambling rates rise due to the legalization of online gaming. At bricks and mortar casinos, a self-excluded player could play at a casino unbeknownst to the casino. That possibility does not exist online due to perfect information on all players and all play. Therefore, self-excluded players cannot play on regulated sites. Lastly, the current offshore illegal businesses that operate online gaming today have no responsible gaming policies in place. In summary, we feel strongly that online poker should be regulated and taxed in the state of California. Residents of California participate in online casino and online poker every day today with no regulatory oversight, no consumer protections, and no tax revenue for the state of California. There's a real threat that the federal government may impose a ban on an issue of gaming, which has historically been regulated at the state level, and the threat is real and imminent. This is a clear 10th Amendment issue. Legalization of online gaming is important to bricks and mortar operators, as offering a new means of marketing to stay relevant with the internet generation and to create new tools and channels of distribution for the casino for both acquisition and retention of customers. The technology clearly exists to properly regulate online gaming to ensure that no children are playing, proper consumer protections are in place, and no criminal enterprises are operating any sites, and problem gamblers have the tool to control any unwanted habits. We strongly encourage you to obtain feedback from Nevada, Delaware, and New Jersey regulators who now have over 2 years of experience regulating online gaming, and they will tell you that none of the theoretical ills of online gaming exist in practice. We believe there's significant revenue potential for the state, not only in taxing online poker, but also significant adjacent markets around marketing, advertising, and television also offer other opportunities for other industries to grow. California, in the end, is a poker state. We look at the World Series of Poker, and California clearly over-indexes relative to other states in terms of the percentage of players playing poker. That concludes my presentation and testimony, and open to any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you for your presentation. Do we have any question from members of the committee at this time? Mr. Mays.
Ms. Sainsbury, thank you for your presentation. I wanted to ask you, what technology have you developed to make sure that we can detect fraud via VPNs and other sources, making sure that you know where these folks are at? Can you give us a quick overview?
Yeah, of course. Can you hear me okay? So virtual private networks, VPNs, are an ever-growing system that are essentially companies are deploying them for not really the use of online gaming, but more for streaming TV and movie content. However, it can be used as a way to mask your location. VPNs, however, can only mask the location of your IP address, which is not considered an accurate location data source. And in regulated markets, such as Nevada, New Jersey, and Delaware, is not relied on. So we do collect the data, but we look for more accurate location data sources, such as Wi-Fi and GPS. However, these different data sources have their own vulnerabilities, such as mock GPS software and remote desktop detection. So when we locate a user, we pull their IP address, we look to see if they're using a proxy or a VPN, which can be easily detected from a number of different methods. But we also look to see more accurate data. When we pull Wi-Fi and GPS data, we look at the software that's running on the device. So remote desktop software appears with an executable file name, which we would look for. And if we see any software that's on a device that could potentially mask your location, then that user gets blocked. And we have had a 100% success rate by detecting these softwares. It does become a bit of a hurdle for a player because a lot of people are running like GoToMeeting and GoToMyPC, or they have a VPN running on their computer, which it might have been with the computer when they purchased it. So our clients have pop-ups that say, hey, we can see that you have GoToMeeting running. Can you please turn it off? So as the industry has developed, the security layers of our system to ensure these different fraud products can't be used while players are playing online, they are having to see these user-friendly messages to ask them to turn it off.
So you're saying you have a 100% success rate?
In the markets that we're currently in, yes.
Any other question?
Question, Mr. Chair.
Cooper.
So your 100% success rate, that's even caught anybody yet? Because I've ran a high-tech crimes task force for 3 years, and as we know, there are folks out there that do it on a daily basis to manipulate a computer system. So you never had not one case that you've been aware of?
So we work with our clients and work with regulators to not just track the users in a real-time transaction, where we do process this data through 350 checks in a regulated market. But we also track the devices and the device use patterns. So if we see that a user is pushing the boundaries of the geolocation rules, then we actually block that user from accessing the systems by the device type and username. So anyone that looks to be pushing the boundaries that may in the future get through a geolocation solution actually gets blocked by our weekly blocking cycle.
In this day and age, I just have a hard time believing you guys have never been hit. Because if you guys are that good, then you should help the federal government out and everybody else. So I'm just somewhat skeptical about that, just knowing how these type of things work.
Yeah, well, I'd be happy to show you the product in more detail and help the federal government.
Yeah, right.
I would add there's also a lot of false negatives, right? The software in New Jersey, we've seen the funnel is so difficult to sign up initially. There's a lot of customers that tried to get on the site and couldn't access the site, and they were in the state of New Jersey. And so because it was set up in a way that was so conservative, you're blocking a lot of legitimate customers as well that are trying to get on the site.